This video was made possible by Wix. If you're ready to create a website, head on over to wix.com/go/infographics2019 to try out one of their premium plans right now. Hussein is a man who listens to his heart, and when they told him to climb inside a box to be delivered to his girlfriend's work, that is precisely what he did. However, things did not go according to plan. Those transporting the box had no idea he was inside and had trouble locating the address. Without enough air, he passed out during the delay. Though still a surprise on arrival, it was not the type he intended. Believe it or not, Mr. Seng is not the strangest thing to be shipped, as we'll see in this episode of the Infographics show. Weirdest things people tried to send via mail. Parcel post delivery started in the United States on January 1st of 1913, and things sent with the service, while unremarkable at first, have grown increasingly strange ever since. On the first day it began, items that were shipped included a pitchfork, brooms, carloads of prunes, and a pot of beans. The first parcel to be delivered held apples for Woodrow Wilson, the then president-elect. As it was a new service, it took some time to understand what exactly was prohibited. Things post office employees had to reject included insects, reptiles, poisonous animals, dead animals, firearms, poisons, and raw hides. Unmailable items included a general description of anything that had a bad odor as well. A live lobster and some shrimp, in addition to a brindle bulldog and a coffin, however, were successfully sent and delivered, as were other unusual items. These included children. The first child to be sent by mail was a 10 3/4 pound boy in Ohio, who was mailed a few weeks after postal services had begun. His final destination was his grandmother, approximately 1 mile away. The cost was 15 cents, and his parents prudently made sure to insure the infant for $50. Days later, a girl was mailed in Pennsylvania to relatives for 45 cents. In 1914, Mary Piersdorf, a 5-year-old girl, was sent by post in Idaho. The current weight limit at the time was 50 pounds, and she was luckily in compliance as she measured just under that amount. The cost of sending her between two towns was 53 cents, and she rode in a mail car along with the railway post office clerk. Later, in 1914, the Postmaster General decided to prohibit the transfer of human beings from available services. However, this did not stop a sleeping 14-pound baby from being delivered a month later, or a 6-year-old from being sent from Florida to Virginia the following year. There are also records of 2 additional children as well. A rural carrier transported Mr. and Mrs. Albert Combs' daughter to her grandmother, and a 3-year-old was transported back from her grandparents to her family home. This last trip, which took place within Kentucky, was investigated by the Cincinnati Division Railway Mail Service Superintendent. He couldn't understand why human post was continuing once rules had been put in place to stop it. Though it took a bit longer than expected, after 1915, no more child packages were sent. However, 2 years later, the Postmaster General had to add another rule to the books. This time, it was a man by the name of W.H. Coltharp, who was seemingly abusing postal services. Coltharp had the brilliant idea of sending thousands of bricks across more than 400 miles from where they were made in Salt Lake to where he planned to build a bank in Vernal. He decided to use parcel post instead of wagon freight and save money. Coltharp wrapped the bricks in 50-pound packages but mailed them as large 1-ton deliveries. While this was cost-effective for him, it quickly overwhelmed the post office on both sides. Ultimately, the bricks were delivered and became the Bank of Vernal, but the experience brought about a critical legislation. New rules limited individuals to shipping 200 pounds per day. Further, a statement clarified that buildings were not an acceptable item to mail. More recently, investigators were curious what could or could not be sent via USPS in modern times, so they designed an experiment later published in the Annals of Improbable Research in order to find out. Items to be sent were grouped in categories such as either valuable, sentimental, unwieldy, pointless, or suspicious. A dollar bill in clear plastic and an unwrapped football were in the valuable category, and a can of soup and a lemon were examples of things labeled as pointless. Overall, 64% of items were successfully delivered by the USPS, including a pair of expensive tennis shoes held together with duct tape, a tooth, a toy that screamed, "Let me out of here! Help! Let me out of here!" rancid cheese, and a box of dead fish and old seaweed. Now, while these were delivered, this was not without complaint. The clerk at pickup informed the recipient of the shoes that mail needed to be wrapped. The tooth only went through because although human remains cannot be mailed, those handling the package assumed it was sentimental and made an exception as explained with a note. The smelly cheese arrived at its destination but at some point had been placed in a bag and the cardboard box with fish and seaweed resulted in a warning from the postal supervisor that a fine for mail abuse was possible should such items be sent again. Other things that failed to go through, such as a bottle of water that was consumed by the postal carrier instead, a brick, a can of soup, a hammer, some kitty litter, and the same "let me out of here help" toy that had been wrapped in concealing paper also failed to arrive at their final destinations. Then there were items that were flat out refused by post office representatives at the point of origin. These included a helium balloon, a bald tire, a wrapped coconut. The balloon could not be sent because the transportation of helium is prohibited, and the balloon was not correctly packaged. The coconut was refused because a certificate from the Department of Agriculture would be necessary before it could cross state lines. The bald tire was rejected for reasons currently unknown. All in all, those who participated in these experiments were impressed with their rate of success, considering the items involved. And in the case of those who came into contact with the fish and seaweed package, investigators sent them a box of chocolate afterwards as a way to apologize. The Ripley's Believe It or Not Strange Mail Contest is another event that, although amusing for many, is likely yet another headache for the post office staff. The goal is to see the craziest item that can be sent to the Ripley headquarters in Orlando, Florida, without any kind of packaging and with the postage and address placed on the item itself. The winning item in 2014 was a 19-pound tree trunk with a sticking-out horseshoe that cost $30.45 to ship from North Carolina. Other items of note included a prosthetic arm, a mailbox, a basket of nuts, toilet paper, and a piece of wood. While this is a yearly thing, there are other strange items that can be sent in the mail as often as you like and have some therapeutic value to boot. This is due to the surprisingly lucrative market for anonymously sending an enemy something annoying, gross, or disappointing in the mail. For example, the Ship Your Enemy's Glitter Company sends glitter to some sorry soul that will open the package and thereby cover every surface, crack, and cranny with some sparkle that will likely take years to vanish completely. This service was so popular, mind you, that its creator found himself begging those using it to stop. Other similarly successful products include Shit Express, which sends out horse poop worldwide, and Mayo by Mail with mayo-filled letters and a note saying "My hate for mayonnaise is only matched by my hate for you." There's even a Ship a Bag of Dicks company that sends out bags of questionably shaped candy with the option of adding glitter to the package for some extra offense. Last but not least, Bird by Mail will send a piece of paper with a printed middle finger, and Ship Your Friends Nothing provides an envelope or box that contains literally nothing at all. All of these are ways that people can send a certain something to individuals they hate or harbor strong negative feelings for, and the post office will help them achieve those acts of petty yet satisfying spite. There are options for those who prefer a more positive approach as well. These individuals can pay a fee to ship a potato or potato parcel in the mail to a destination of choice. Now, this is not a normal potato, but a veggie with a note such as "I am so happy we're best spuds" for one buddy from another. Potato pals with a photo of someone's face on a potato surface are also an option. The 28-year-old founder of the business appeared on Shark Tank in 2016 and makes a six-figure income off the spuds. Of course, while all of this is fun and games, there are some less playful intentions among those sending some strange packages via the mail. Inmate Derek Lecomte, for example, tried to send what he claimed was a vial of his seminal fluid, along with a sock shaped as an intimate toy, and a naughty note from his cell to a certain individual. Of course, this was searched as per prison policy and resulted in charges and disciplinary procedures. Upon appealing an unfavorable decision in which he complained about the consequences, he came out a loser yet again. The judges found themselves saying what they likely assumed went without needing to be said, that the Department of Corrections mail system was not intended for inmates to send out their bodily fluids or sexual objects to others. The mail system seems to be used quite frequently by those hoping to send drugs as well. Police are searching for a man who tried to mail $10,000 worth of marijuana in boxes of poorly repackaged cereal. Another was caught sending 9 pounds of pot he claimed were magazines. However, neither of these are comparable to Curran Milliken of Oregon State, who attempted to ship as many as 143 pounds of pot across state lines in large styrofoam rocks. Impressively, Milliken's rocks may have worked, if not for their overpowering smell. However, he wouldn't have the opportunity to improve his plan anytime soon. Charged with felony possession with intent to distribute, he faces up to 20 years in jail. Meth has been sent under letter labels and heroin has been found in care packages with M&Ms. Methamphetamine traffickers have shipped Aztec statues and calendars as a way to conceal their drugs. No small issue, legislation hoping to make fentanyl and other drugs harder to come by is currently targeting Postal Service operations. However, with 1.3 million packages arriving each day from overseas shipments alone, this is no small task. Mail services are a wonderful thing that allow us to interact and do business with others both across the country and around the world. However, it does have its limits. While it is harmless enough to send a tooth or a tree trunk or a toilet paper roll, sending other things such as children, buildings, or yourself, as Hussein would agree, are not the best ideas. The world is full of weird people and weird things, but one of the things you definitely don't want to come across as weird is your personal website. With Wix, you can be sure that your site is going to look great and be memorable. And whether you're a design guru or a first-time newbie, Wix has the tools to get you started on the path to a great-looking website in minutes. Their selection of hundreds of fully customizable templates lets you drag and drop your way straight to fantastic. Or you can dive right in with their robust design tools and build a fantastic-looking site from the ground up if you prefer. Plus, with Wix, you can be sure that your site is going to be available and look great on any device. Try out Wix today by visiting the link in the description or going to wix.com/go/infographics2019. Which of these items that people have tried to send via the mail is the weirdest? Let us know in the comments. Also, be sure to check out our other video called Disturbing Wikipedia Pages. Thanks for watching, and as always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.